How are y'all doing today? How did y'all make out with your assignment over the week?
Oh, well, man. I don't think there is any problem. I spoke to Robert a little bit briefly. We chatted a little bit yesterday, talked a little bit about the attention management piece
Yep.
and just really, looking at more from an applicable standpoint. And I did get a chance to look some at the presentation that you had sent. I got a chance to go through that for the most part. And so I guess just being, completely transparent and honest, man. Everything that I'm hearing, everything that I'm seeing, hey, it's got me locked in, got me focused, ready to get it popping.
All righty, all righty. So I will always shoot you out some things on Monday. If you think I need to send it out earlier, just for you to go over to prepare yourself for the class. When we're talking about uh, the next phase, we're going to be talking about, of course, the setting up the your business model, meaning your four tiers. But we want to do a little backdrop of our first model for your pod owner development training. And the first model is the introduction to Exodus House, who we are, what we do. What we try to do is give you a foundation that you can build on. For me, it's a lot easier if I see something, I can create
Mhm,
it instead of trying to pull it from the air and everything like that. So as we're
mhm.
going over the orientation packet, that that is something that you'll incorporate your own things into. Okay. So let me get. So we want to talk about today. We're just going to start off with an introduction, understanding the mission, values, and kingdom-driven foundation of Exodus House, where Exodus House came from, how it developed. We're going to be doing a couple assignments today as we're going through this class. It's got to be definitely participating class participation. I'm gonna have you write a brief things, but I want you guys to one start looking for properties. Okay. And as we're going through this presentation, you'll see some other things I'll ask you to do. Two, identify specifically who your target population is. You have to be very specific, not vague. I know you guys, am I not mistaken, you guys want to do veterans, right? Or do
Yep.
you have, who do y'all want to do? Who do y'all want to target? Let me ask that first.
Yeah. I mean, you're on it. As you and I had talked a little bit about in the past, I think I shared some things with Witherspoon and Robert. I may have mentioned to you in brevity. I think we may have chatted about it a little bit, but I definitely did a little bit more thinking and a little bit more digging a little bit deeper in that when you was talking about the various tiers and being functional, non-functional, that kind of thing. So I think to get started out, and I'll just kind of put this out here, and you can kind of guide and redirect as need to be done. Targeting the veteran population, those that maybe have some substance abuse issues, those that may fell on tough time and now homeless. But I would say that it's least functional from moderate, a level two or you're kind of a moderate level that can do some things for themselves, kind of able to follow directions. I don't think it would be in the best interest to getting started off until you really get your feet on the ground, or is it going now, boots on the ground, that really understand the ins and outs, and then you can go back and diversify a little bit as we go and grow.
I want y'all to take this, remember this, with your
Right.
veterans, right? Always remember, if you deal homeless, substance abuse, there's going to be mental illness attached to that. Okay,
Okay.
so when you target that population, is that person on medication? Do they already have their psych doctor? And I'm talking outside of the VA. Okay,
Okay.
do we have to put them in a service? Do we have to be a service provider for them? So those are the little things, and we'll get all into that. But I'm just dropping little nuggets.
Okay.
So it's real important. The things I send out before class, don't just formulate your questions because the questions are important. You don't have to figure out what some of the stuff means. A lot of stuff you'll understand, a lot of stuff you might not, it don't matter. But you want to get just a foundation so as we're going through it, you know, we can you can grow into something opposed to change into something. One of the things I want to let you guys know we will do, especially with policy and procedures and all that stuff, we will set you up as if you're a Fortune 500 company already. Your paperwork will be designed as if you're a Fortune 500 company. Why? Because we want you to grow into that instead of having to change into that. So many times, small organizations, they're right here on that first level and they try to scale up. They're not prepared to scale up. So we want to make sure your paperwork wise, definitely paperwork wise, is already there for you. Policies and procedures, accounting policies and procedures, and you'll grow into it. It's already there. You don't have to try to figure it out. You just have to grow into it. All right. So when we talk about the mission statement, okay, and I'm going to ask you guys, what are y'all mission statements off the cuff? Exodus Life Change provides supportive housing, comprehensive services to individuals in recovery from drug addiction, alcoholism, incarceration, and mental illness. One of the things that I know about mission statements is 7 to 12, 7 to 14 words, and a 6-year-old can understand it.
Okay.
A sentence or two, and a 6-year-old can understand your mission. A lot of times you have people with all these long paragraph, double paragraph, and all this about your mission statement, and a person really don't understand what your mission is. You understand right here what Exodus House mission is to provide supportive housing and comprehensive services. What are comprehensive services? These are service providers that we will attach our clients with that we don't perform ourselves.
Okay.
I don't have to worry about uh, uh, unless running classes for or having nurses and doctors for if people need medication. We connect them with a service provider who has a case manager, social worker, housing specialist, and all those things that we don't have to provide. We partner with somebody who provides those services, which makes us holistic in approach. Supportive housing, of course, we have housings of 4 tiers: supportive 1, supportive living 2, independent living 1 and 2. So we do housing. Now, technically, business wise, we just sell beds.
Mm-hmm.
That's all we do.
Okay.
Technically, business wise, what we do is sell beds.
Okay.
All the other stuff is a part of or services that we will provide either individually or by service providers. And you know specifically who I'm targeting: drug addicts, alcohol, people with alcohol problems, people coming out of prison, and people have mental illness. Here's the thing: all 4 of those components tie together. More than likely, if a person is a drug addict, they drink a lot, they've been to prison, and they have, if diagnosed or undiagnosed, mental illness. Anytime you have a housing program now, anything, if they have any substance abuse at all, there is some mental illness tied to that person, be it
Makes sense.
diagnosed or undiagnosed. And when you're going through your packets, because we're going to make sure you have your assessment, all the, we'll be going over the forms down the road. You just have to put your name on them and make them fillable for yourself. And we'll go over how we want to do those assessments to be able to understand who we're dealing with. So when you talk about mission statements, we want to set, let's say, 14 words or less, and a 6-year can understand it. So real briefly, off the cuff, because you guys, give me an example of what you guys' mission statement is.
Well, I mean, ours is basically for the organization that we had already into existence, which we'll definitely have to tweak it and morph it into the MOC aspect as far as transformation is concerned. So, in essence, to boil it down to just a few words and not be too lengthy with it, it's just basically comprehensive training and assistance to help those men that are in need to transition. And that's done through a combination of spiritual
Oh,
influence
stop.
and
Go back
helping
to
them
that
with the
first
skills.
part.
Okay.
Stop at that first part. Don't add a combination of.
Okay.
That first part, them first 10, 12 words,
Yep.
perfect.
Okay.
Perfect.
So we can tweak that, for the
Yeah, that's
transformation aspect.
perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's something I can remember.
Gotcha. Okay.
You know what I'm saying? We
Mm-hmm.
want people to remember our mission statement. What is our mission statement? If you ask, most of the time, you might have read person's mission statements. They might have been 2, 3 paragraphs. Somewhere down the road, you assuming, or do you really understand what their mission is? Okay. Our
Mm-hmm.
philosophy: Exodus Life Change is a 24-hour, spiritually based, shared living community that offers highly structured and supervised programming to address emotional, behavior, and spiritual needs. We promote self sufficiency and a lifestyle free from drugs, alcohol, and criminal activity. Our goal is to equip individuals with hope, encouragement, mental tools, spiritual direction to become successful, productive members of society. We utilize both practical and faith based principles to foster personal and professional development. When we look at our philosophy, so we're really just saying, okay, we're creating a community that's going to be self-sufficient. We're going to use spiritual and practical applications to an individual, meaning spiritual empowerment, domestic empowerment, social empowerment, and um, economical empowerment. Those 4 areas: social, domestic, spiritual, and economic. Those are the 4 things that make a person whole. So our philosophy is faith-based, but we're not limited to faith-based as far as the healing process, as far as deliverance process, as far as a person getting better. If that person needs medication, then we have to be practical. That person needs to be on medication. If we know God can heal anytime, anyone, but God also gives us things to help people until. So in your philosophy, you want to really tie into what are you addressing? Because we're addressing emotional, behavior, and spiritual needs. One of the problems with housing the homeless, and it's in my book and a couple of my books, and it's spreading, is we put people in an apartment, we give them a key, and we put them in an apartment, and we say they're housed. We never take the human side of housing into account. We take
Mm-hmm.
a number. They're a number.
So,
We got 10 people in our house. We successfully are housing 10 people. But what's missing is the human side of housing those people, the emotional behavior. Because when you start looking at it, for me, I have to understand there's a behavioral aspect on whatever tier that I have them people on, that I have the expectation and I have the understanding of their responses is based on where their baseline is and not where I think they should be. I'm looking at this guy and he's doing great, and then all of a sudden he has this great outburst. Why am I shocked? That's why they're in our place. So we're going to be addressing an emotional and behavior and spiritual needs. And inside that emotional behavior and spiritual needs are your 4 components: spiritual empowerment, domestic empowerment, social empowerment, and economic empowerment. I think I might have broke this down before, because you can have social empowerment, you have domestic empowerment, you have spiritual empowerment, and be broke like a skunk and don't know how, not necessarily be broke, do not know how to manage your money to pay bills, to take care of certain things that you need to take care of. You can have economic empowerment. You can have social empowerment. You can have spiritual empowerment. But domestically, you're beating your wife, you're cussing people out. You don't know how to live life on life terms. You could be domestically. You could be economic. You can be spiritual. But socially, you don't know how to act around people. Your social skills are at an all-time low. You could be social. You could be economic. You could be domestic, but spiritually, you're spiritually bankrupt, living and making decisions in your own will that cause you to be in the condition that you're in. So when we talk about addressing these emotional, behavior, and spiritual needs, those are the four ways that I've come to recognize that we need to address. Because when you address those particular needs, because we promote self-sufficiency and a lifestyle free from drugs, alcohol, and criminal activities, those areas of empowerment gives us the freedom to choose. Most people like myself, when we were on drugs, when I was out there on drugs, I lost the ability to choose. Mm-hmm. I thought I had to wake up and get high. I thought I had to wake up and do what I had to do to get money to get high. I thought I would never be anything. I thought my life existence was null and void. And I always relied on somebody to get me. When I would get in the jam, I relied on somebody other than God to get me out of my jam. Or I relied on a particular hustle that I had to get me out of a jam. So those areas, those four areas, I was weak in certain areas. Our philosophy is to deal with those areas that person can be self-sufficient. And when you talk about free from drugs and alcohol, that means I now have the ability, we want them to have the ability to choose from their previous lifestyle to a new lifestyle. And our goal is to equip them. What? We equip them with hope, encouragement, mental tools, and spiritual direction. We can, of course, you want to teach them how to do resumes. You want to do job readiness. We want to do all those things that are natural that needs to be done. But if we equip them with hope, encouragement, and mental tools after we have dealt with their emotional and behavior and spiritual needs, right? The tools to stay emotionally stable, the tools to regulate your behavior, the tools to stay spiritually connected with the God who you choose. And that direct and to equip them, why? So that we can direct them to be successful and productive members of society, whatever that looks like for that individual. I'm gonna say that again. Whatever success and productivity means to that individual, not to what I think how you should be a productive member of society, not even what society says, but what God says, the purpose and plan that He has for your life, that allows you to be productive member of society, living in kingdom principles and walking in the purpose and plan that God has for your life. And in order for us to get there, I got to use practical and faith-based or spiritual principles to foster a personality and a professional development. So I'm dealing with my personal self, right? Domestic and social, spiritual, and personal development, economic. So that ties into all that make that person whole. We have to look at the human side of the person. I teach this all the time. A lot of people don't agree with it, but I know better. It's just what I believe. Masculinity has caused more men, especially men of color, to be in prison and strung out on drugs. Because when I read the Bible, I read nowhere in the Bible where it says masculinity. Masculinity is a world system talking about how a man should be. God created human beings. We need to teach our men how to be human. And teaching them how to be human will allow them to draw into the purpose and plan that God has for them. Not based on a world system that says a man is supposed to be A, B, C, and D, but it contradicts what God says about them for their life. So this is real important. Who are you going to serve? We say veterans, but you got to really scale down onto, we said substance abuse, homelessness, fell on hard times. Well, that hard times is something, because do you put somebody in your house who fell on hard times but don't have a drug problem? That
No, I
don't
wouldn't
have
think you would do that. No.
no. I'm just these just throwing stuff out there for you to think about.
Okay, got you.
Yeah, no, remember, remember I told you a long time, I don't know what you guys don't know, but I still got to teach how it go. Okay,
Got you.
so it's real important. What really I found out in all these years that makes a successful program, and the most successful people in there that have come through the PI program and whose PI programs are still up and running, they are very specific about their population. And that's why it's going to be very important that we really, when we go on intake development, that we really understand there's two ways to do an intake. Well, it's one way to do an intake, but it's two ways how you look at it. You look at it in the natural and the spiritual. It's not what they always saying. It's what they're not saying. And then it's also, what is your spirit telling you about that individual? What is God showing you about that person so that you can make a right determination? Because everybody, you look, everybody, the hardest thing in the world is to tell some people, now you're not qualified for our program, and we need to refer you somewhere else. So,
Yeah,
so
I've
we're
got
open to individuals nationwide, 18 years and older, homeless or low income, right? Recently incarcerated or discharged from a hospital, in recovery, substance abuse, and recovery from substance abuse, mental illness, traditionally hard to employ, and referred by social service agencies.
I've
We
got
are
a
very, when I do it, did you have something, Mr. Robert? Go ahead. I
yeah,
see you.
yeah, I
Go
do.
ahead.
I've got a quick question just to be get it clarified. Uh, when you're trying to define your target population, I and you are addressing the homeless, right? When we look at traditionally hard to employ and referred by or lacking marketable skills, that's got to be in addition to those other top four, right? Someone can come,
Exactly.
they couldn't come to Exodus and say, listen, I don't have any marketable skills, because that's not the market you in. So those last two, would that be, you've gotta have the requirement is the top four, but you gotta, those other things you address in the process of addressing those top four. Is that correct?
Exactly
Okay.
right.
Okay.
Remember, if they don't meet your four basic ones,
Okay.
then they don't meet the program as a whole. What are your four our main ones? And remember, in our mission, it was
Okay.
our main ones were drug addiction, alcoholism, incarceration, and mental illness. They have to fit one of those categories.
Okay. All right. I got
But
you.
you hit it right on the nail, Mr. Robert. Hey guys, cut me off at any time that you have a question. Okay. And then the last one, referred by social services. One of the things that I established with social service agency, one, I come out and interview the client. I call them members. I come out and interview your members, and I'll determine if your member is right for our program or not. A lot of people in New Orleans, when I first, because they weren't used to that, a lot of they was having problems. Well, you're not taking now because they don't fit my program. It does not make no sense for me to put somebody in there in this program that probably within a week or two, I'm going to have to send them to another facility. So I was and then as I kept doing it, everybody, all the programs and hospitals they understood why, because the program became so successful, and they knew this was our criteria. Because social services, some of them navigators and housing specialists, they just trying to drop them. They just trying to get them off their off their calendar. They just trying to get them in a place, put a notch in their belt. We house this person, put a number, and they're all about numbers. And next thing you know, you have a facility full of people who don't even fit what you're doing.
All right. Quick question before you move on. Now
Go
that
ahead.
Robert brought that up, because I think this kind of ties into a couple other things that I had discussed with you and had to touch bases with Robert on a couple of different occasions. Now, I think looking at and narrowing down that targeted population can kind of flow in one or two directions, depending on if you're just going to look at a single pod or you're just going to deal with one population.
Right.
And why there's been a couple of different things that has been mentioned, because as you was talking about, earlier, and I know you had also said that you guys was going to be involved in helping, with finding a facility and helping establish that. So we haven't got completely boots on the ground, but we're going to ramp up since we're now here in week 2, the next couple of weeks, and started to get deeper in that. But the thing that I wanted to mention, tie back to the point that I was making, if you find a facility where you have several sections that's already established there, because we've seen one, we haven't got to go ahead that it may be into play, but it's just something that we thought about, where you got like 6 divisions. So that means you could house different populations there. However, if we are only fortunate enough just to find a facility where it may have several rooms and you can only have that one demographic, then you're spot on. I think it would have to be skewed wherever that falls in to for that veteran and that population, based off of whatever we tap into, whatever's going to be the direct feeder into that, then yeah, that needs to be that and that alone. But if you got different sections, then you could have your mental health here, you could have your homeless here that are trying to get back on their feet, could have fell on bad times with a marriage. You can have your drug addicts over here. You could have your ones that are just coming out of the penal system, not necessarily any drug problems. They could have been an armed robbery or whatever. So I guess there's a couple of different things that we've been thinking about. And I think as we narrow down and focus what's going to be more feasible and what's going to be easy to attain to get our first shop open, then we can, definitely say, I think we got enough information that we know how to narrow it down. We just need to find what we need to find first. So we can say if it's going to be one demographic or would there be multiple people in this installation, because you got different sections.
And I think you're right on it. So here's going to be your key. And as we go over the 4 tiers, your population is going to be based on the tier you picked.
Okay.
But remember, you got supportive 1 and 2, and you got independent 1 and 2. Each one of them are closely related, but they're definitely different. But they can be fit in the same facility. When I had my 8-unit apartment complex, I actually had supportive 1, 2, independent living 1 and 2 in the apartment complex. How do I do that? Because I had 4 separate apartment. I had 8 separate apartments, 4 rooms to an apartment. So I was able to put in each apartment, if they was independent living 1, all independent living 1 went in that apartment, or independent living 2 went in that apartment, and supported living 1 went in this apartment, and supported. So whatever went on in that apartment didn't affect the facility. So you right on it.
Okay.
That is possible. The key is to make sure that they meet the criteria of that tier, and what that section over there, that they're all on that same tier. That section over there, it don't matter if they mental, substance, and if they're in that tier, their behavior and their baselines are the same.
Got it.
Okay? So yeah,
Makes sense.
you can do that. So the key is to make sure you can do that, but make sure whoever you put in that section, they all in that same tier. Support living 1, support living 2, support living 3. So and then I had houses across the street, and as they graduated, the independent living 2 people, they would graduate into the houses next door, but only graduates from independent 1 and 2 lived in those houses.
Gotcha.
So yeah, you can do that, and
Okay.
you can even but it has to be a clear cut separation from each tier. Okay?
Okay.
But yeah, you can do that. Yep.
All right. Now you actually have a model of those tiers, right? You have those
Oh
tiers
yeah, you won't go
broken
over
out.
all that.
Okay,
Oh
Yeah.
good
yeah.
enough.
Yeah.
All right. All
Oh,
right.
oh yeah. One of these, if I could get my guy, Mr. Tyrone Keelan, he was used to be my matter of fact, I might get Kim Johnson to come on next week. He was my executive director. Every model in North Carolina that deals with shared living started from either their owner trained under me or it's or they took the model that I created in New Orleans. It was a couple of weeks ago. We had to house some people out of the transitional center, and my guy Tyrone went over there. He said, "Man, you know, they just keep stealing your model." I said, "Don't worry about it. The first go around is okay."
Uh,
So,
uh,
but yeah, that was a good question. Like I said, stop me at any time
Okay.
uh, for any question.
I got one more quick question.
Well, let me help y'all. First of all, y'all have more than one more question, and the questions ain't quick, so y'all can take that out the conversation.
Okay. Well, I got
Go
three
ahead,
long
go ahead,
questions.
Mr. Robert. Don't pay me no mind, y'all. That's just as y'all get to know me, Boone know me. I'm like a little,
You talk
and just to say this real quick, this stuff that you're looking at right now, when we get to the history, apostles, he gonna know if I'm lying or not, or if that history is not true. Because he was there. But go ahead, Mr. Robert.
yeah. You talked about a lot of your programs, the comprehensive services. Y'all kind of farm those out. You got collaborations outside your home to make that happen, right?
Yes, sir.
So I can envision for level one, you got services, level two, you got services and things like that. Are the services provided internal to the home, or do you provide transportation for the people to get to the external service? I'm just curious about that. And the other
90%
thing,
of the 80. Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
and the other thing was, have you ever considered bringing any of those services in-house? I'm just curious.
Oh yeah. So here's the two things. One, most of the services provide they have van services that come pick them up. Most
Okay.
of your people, if they're on Medicaid, Medicare, SSI, they're eligible for transportation anyway.
Right.
So that they make sure they get them back and forth. Two, yes, I actually when I got the nursing home, I was actually going to create all the services inside that nursing home. But unfortunately, I'm from New Jersey and I was in Louisiana, and the people that could help me get those licenses actually sabotage. But yes, you can actually provide those services yourself at some point down the road. For me, when I was younger, I could do all that. But if you want to, as you grow, you need to make sure you have some young professionals that can grow with you, because what you're going to realize is this is a 27-hour a day program.
Mm.
No, it really, and it's not about the physical. And it's actually 48 hours, because you can get calls at any time from your facility, especially at the beginning, and we're going to show you how to do a call tree if your name is on that call tree.
Makes
Because
sense.
something happened at the facility, this person called this person called this person, call the police, blah, all that stuff goes into play, and it trickles down to whoever you have that's over that night or yourself, and you get that call. Okay? So it's really a whole lot more than what people put it out to be. If you want to be effective, if you really, like I say, if you do the human side of the program, if you remember you're dealing with human beings, and that's like really, really important, because the reason they in your facility, the reason they in your house is because they got problems. So when they act out, why are we shocked? Well, I ain't gonna let him talk to me. Well, that's why he here. But he don't know how to talk to people. Socially, if you've been on the streets or on drugs, you respond based on your environment that you just left.
Exactly.
Yeah.
One of the things that made my program so effective, You know, when I used to go to drug rehab and stuff like that, if you got high, they put you out. Well, they got high. I didn't put them out. I got somebody that been getting high 10, 14 years, and I expect them to come to my program in the first 30 days not to use no more. Well, that's not reality.
Mm-hmm.
Now I tell them you won't get high, after about the third or fourth time, I put them in a facility. But the reality, we have to deal with these people realistically.
Right.
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 What makes it so easy for me is because I have that lived experience. If you guys get a chance to read my book about the lived experience, it's gonna explain to you why I could be so effective because I lived it. No matter how much we want to think, people that have not lived that experience, you have a perception. You could be a social worker, degrees, and had all these classes. You have a perception of how homeless people think or people with substance abuse. You have a perception, but you really don't know how it is unless you were there. I'm 28 years coming on 28 years clean. I still have some thoughts. I still get flashbacks from things I did over 30 years ago. And because they come, I'm able to shake them off. But it's that deep trauma
Yeah. Oh yeah.
does not leave that person. Now, mind you,
Oh yeah.
even though I understand from my lived experience and from what God brought me through, that trauma really wasn't trauma. That's the only thing that keeps me going. What that was my training. He said he touched every infirmary. I understand the Bible. Jesus touched every infirmary to understand how we felt. I've been through every infirmary that when I sit in front of a person who's in prison, homeless, substance abuse, I know the one thing they can never say to me is, I don't know how they feel. And then I can even take them on a deeper level than where they at as pertaining to feeling trauma, anxiety, anger, and all that stuff. So that's why having somebody in your staff with the lived experience is vital. To be sitting at the table with the policymakers with things that you're doing because they lived that experience. They came up out of it. How did he get up out? Why when you house somebody, they come in with all these clothes and stuff like that, and they don't get rid of them, and they just hoard more and more because at some point they believe. I believed at some point I was going to be homeless again. It was only a matter of time. I could get a good job, right? It was only a matter of time. One of them checks I was going to go get high in the 24-hour period. I was homeless again. You see? So programs, services, behavior and cognitive skills development, recovery and relationship support, life skills training for self-sufficiency, employment preparation, interactive training. What I want to show you what's so important about, and we got recreational access to support networks, drug and alcohol education, and referral assessment. Behavior and cognitive skills development, human being. Recovery and relationship, human being. Life skills training and self-sufficient, people, person. Employment preparation, person, or you want to say social or economic. Recreation, social. Access to support networks and aftercare, human being. Drug and alcohol education, social. Referral and assessment services, social. Whatever you want to do, you want to make sure you're connecting with the emotional human side, the mental development of that, the spiritual and mental development of that person. Those are the foundation that will get them to life skills training. Those are the foundations that will get them to employment preparation. Your foundation is your spiritual and your spiritual and your human emotional side of that individual. That will lay the foundation to get to the recreation side, that will get to be able to open up for drug education. A lot of times we go life skill and all that stuff, and the person hasn't developed spiritually at all. The person hasn't developed socially at all. The person that do not have a foundation about dealing with their mental, their emotional issues in their life. So they go take life skill training, they do great. Life skill training, they do great. They go out and get this job, and then the boss says something to them and they cuss them out. because the foundation was built on education and not on behavior, not on spiritual, not on emotional. That social, that comes under social empowerment, spiritual empowerment. Social and spiritual empowerment is your basic foundation to get you to the economic and domestic. Okay? Questions? Our program model, support living 1, 2, independent living 1 and 2. We're going to expound on that when we go through these are actually I'm going to be shooting you stuff about business models. Your supportive living 1, 2, your independent living 1 and 2, that's your business model. So we're going to break it down, your business model and what entails in your business model based on how this is set up. What are our expectations of our members? Treat others with dignity and respect. Participate in structured rehabilitation plans. Attend house meetings, support groups regularly. Maintain personal hygiene and health. Help maintain shared living spaces. Remain drug and alcohol free. Abide by Exodus life change, health, and safety rule. So your member expectations has to be, you can't leave nothing out how you want them to be. Because you want to be in your intake, you're going to give them the expectations, they're going to sign off on them, and they're going to read them. Some will read them, some won't. And then you're going to tell them to do something, or they're going to do something, and you're going to confront them, and they're going to say, well, that's not in my expectation. It didn't say I couldn't do this. So you have to be really, really, as a group, you can use this, but that's your foundation. What are you really expecting from them? Realistically, not where you think they could be or where they're going to be or how they can get there. I need to have realistic expectations of their behavior, basically in their first 60 days. I really need to have I expect them to cuss me out. I expect them not to be clean all the time. I expect them to get angry. I expect them to sneak down in the kitchen and steal some food. I expect them to do all this shoo-shooing, and I expect them to try to tear them. I expect them to do all that stuff. I expect their human behavior.
Mm-hmm.
I have a veteran that been in service for 15, 20 years, 10, 20 years. He was over there in Iraq or whatever, have all that, spend some time in prison, bam, wow. My expectation of him is I expect him to do exactly what he do. So I'm not moved. I expect that man to do exactly what he do and respond. If you want to go spiritual, I always tell people, on the streets, you always say to get respect, you got to give respect. I don't care about none of that. You cuss me, I don't care. What's the most important thing for me is that I respond like a man of God, that I respond like an example. No matter what he says. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm still from the street now. I'm gonna respond to a certain extent. That there is a line that they cross over, and we gonna have to deal with some things assertively,
right,
opposed to aggressively. I can be assertive, and I can listen. So I kind of like with especially with the men from the streets and all that, I tell them my story. I make sure that they know my story, and I can be kind of assertive. And then when I get to a certain place where they know certain things about me, and I can make a statement like, now, just remember, if I relapse or if I backslide, I'm gonna remember what you done did to me. I'm just gonna let you know. And for that period, I'm capable of doing the same thing you do, and I'm doing it jokingly. But in reality, he really hear what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
That conversation.
at our last tent, we had these guys, they from the street, they was all homeless. We're placing them in housing, and they, at the beginning of the program, they whining it. So at the end of the program, near the end of the program, they come up there. So I had got a report what they supposed to be. I said, man, you sound just like old girl. You talking about you supposed to be some type of street hustler. You worried about furniture and food and all that, man. You up here crying like an old girl. Get away from me. But I had got a rapport to make him really see, bro, you acting just like a girl. You from the streets. You a man. You want another person, you want another man to give you $5. You 40, 50 years old. Come on, man, stop playing. Here's the flip side. But I also understand because the guy got high. I understand his history. He started getting high as a teenager. Until they stop and create 5 years of sobriety, their emotional state, if they started getting high at 14, guess what? They stopped maturing at 14. So all their response is going to be as a 14-year-old. And those are some of the things that we learn as we're going through, especially when we're dealing with guys with addiction, okay? Amenities is just what you're going to provide in your house, Remember, you want your house to look nice, but it should be set up as a commercial house because you got people coming going. Don't do like I did the first house I got. I was buying top shelf stuff. I was buying paint that was 5-gallon paint, $500 and all that crazy stuff. Yeah, He tore that up real quick.
Yeah.
Remember, it is a commercial property. One of the things you want to do is make and we'll talk to some of the landlords, because you'll have more people. Look, I tell the landlord, I'll be responsible for the small stuff. You just take care of the big stuff: water, AC unit, roof, anything plumbing. That's your responsibility. All the small stuff, damages that we do at the house, we take care of ourselves because we are imposing more people on this house than normal, than the regular size of a family.
Makes sense.
Remember, go ahead. I'm listening.
No, I said that makes sense.
Yeah. Remember, you can have cameras. Here's two things. You can have cameras in all the common areas, which I never had cameras, and in none of my places, because coming from where I come from, and you got cameras in my apartment, I feel like I'm in prison opposed to in a place of living. You have cameras on the outside, facing outside to see who's coming and going, all that good stuff. But this is just me because of my lived experience.
Mhm.
I just don't, because you're trying to create a culture where they police their own self. Because remember, everybody is on the same baseline. That's what makes it easy. Because everybody's on the same base. If they're all high functioning, you're always going to have an issue here and there, But those house meetings are very important. History of Exodus House. We started way back in 2000 in Goldsboro, North Carolina.
Yo,
212 Holly Street.
yo. I went by there the other day.
You used to come there every week. Dora had a Bible study and all that good stuff. So Exodus House it was created from all the detoxes, rehabs, all the places that I went to. And God allowed me to create what was good about the places and what was bad about the places and create what we have today. We had serviced over 600 people. 94 of them was mentally ill. 70% on their reduction in, amongst participating, meaning that we got them medically compliant, restored their self-dignity, self-worth. Even now, to this day, our model is being used across various places. Okay. So this is what I need you guys to do. Real quick. Write down a brief statement of how your organization will align with the vision that we just went over.
Bring the vision back up. I don't know if I saw your vision. I do remember seeing the
Nah, I didn't have a
philosophy
vision.
and your mission. Did you have a vision statement up there?
A mission. I just had mission and philosophy. I
Okay.
didn't put a vision up.
Oh, that's why I thought I didn't see one. Okay. Okay. You shook the bag.
I didn't even put the core values up. I'll leave those two out so
Okay.
that you can create your own
Okay.
on those particular.
So write down according to the vision that you just shared.
Yes.
Versus
How is that going to align? How's your vision going to align with that? Or if it's going to align with it at all?
Well, Dalton is the visionary on this, and
He's
so
going
so I'm going to
You're gonna piggyback. You're gonna
yeah,
piggyback. That's okay.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. I got you.
And you know that's why I don't show you my vision.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Okay? And that's why
Yeah.
I don't show you my core values. Because those are the ones that God gave to me. And what happens a lot of times, subliminally, you'll snatch some of that when it's not really for your particular vision.
Right. Fine. If I was a teacher, if I was an instructor, in front of the class, you were taking the test, I'd be creeping back there, see what you watch, what you move your head back and forth, see if you got a cheat sheet or something.
He
You ain't
showed me
gotta
he got a cheat sheet. And
you
look, only thing you
you
got
ain't
to
gotta
do is
worry
look
about
at his
all that.
glasses. You look when he turns this way. Can't you see
Yeah.
his glasses? The reflection of what he's looking at.
Yeah. Yeah.
You ain't gotta worry about all that. It's all gravy. All right, I think we might have something together here whenever you're ready.
I'm waiting for you.
Okay. Give me 1 second.
When you guys get a chance, if you go to Ray's Corner Live on YouTube, subscribe to that channel. I
Ray's
have a
Corner?
lot of stuff that's on that channel that I'll be pertaining to what you guys do.
Did you say it was Ray's Corner?
Ray's Corner Live.
Ray's
And if
Corner.
you want to get more understanding about housing the homeless, that'll be on my Exodus Life Change YouTube channel.
Okay. How do we get a copy of your book, Ray? If we
Oh,
wanted to get it.
just go on Amazon and type in Ray Wilkerson. I have 5 books.
Okay.
Okay, so basically, as we have it currently today, vision lined up to basically what you've described and what you've went over is to create a 21st century universal movement for men, which provides teaching, training, coaching that positively impact their lives, to equip them to be more suitable for their families, communities, and their workers.
So let me ask the group. Read it again.
All right. Basically, the vision will align up to what you've covered is to create a 21st century universal movement for men, which provides teaching, coaching, and training that positively impacts the men, their families, their communities, and their worlds.
Is he missing anything? So let me ask you this question.
Okay.
Okay. So your vision, God's vision for you, for that individual is what?
Is to basically impact and encourage them to maximize their own potential.
Okay. So I just don't. So when I'm listening to your vision,
Okay.
in that vision, how does that happen?
Well, that's going to happen through number one, you working with them, going right in right at a base level where they are. I thought you did a real good job as far as explaining that. So how that's going to basically happen is finding out where they are through the assessment, through dealing with them on a daily basis, and finding out, what they have inside of them. Because I think if you go in with a preconceived idea to offer them this kind of service, that's why I never really did shop well, giving them carpentry and giving them this and giving them that, because you got men that come from all walks of life and they can have all different kinds of interests. So I think that you was talking about the assessment and evaluating them and getting to know them. Now you can empower them to do the things that they need to do. Then that's going to cascade down. It's going to have an impact on their families. It's going to have an impact on the communities that they're going to be in, which is currently going to be their pod, and then ultimately in their world as they go back and forth and do what they do on a daily basis.
And just a suggestion, that what you just try to incorporate that human side in the vision.
Okay. Okay.
Because when I listened to it, I heard training, this and that, but I didn't hear the human side. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. We can again
Not
can
unless
always be tweaked a little bit.
not
That's
unless
just where we
you
were
you
because
said
you put
it,
us on the
but
spot.
I'm probably listening from a different place.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
I got you.
Because remember, your foundation is the if I want to make sure I drill this into you guys. The foundation is the human side. Dealing with that human side as the foundation to get them to everywhere else.
Mm-hmm.
No, that was good though. It was good.
Yeah, you did pretty good
And
for
you
that
were
pop
able
quiz.
to
For
Yeah.
that
Did I?
pop quiz.
no,
You,
because he was able to when I listened to the bit, but when he articulated it, I heard all that. So what I'm trying to get him to do, I'm trying to get y'all to do, what y'all articulate. We got to get that into word because you know what that vision is. You know what God is telling you, right? And it's easy to articulate it, but how do I get that on paper when somebody read it? I get that same feeling as if you're talking and I'm reading that the words. You know how sometimes you read something and the words just, oh man, ooh, that was good. You see what
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I'm saying. But it was good. Don't so. All right.
All right. Well, I add another line in there. Matter of fact, I got some stuff in there. We'll touch it up and tweak it to get it right where it needs to be.
Let me ask you this here, DK. I know they were mentioning the 4 aspects of a person's life. And some of the things you mentioned about the training and coaching is it'll be designed to build them socially. It'll be designed to build them economically and spiritually. So do we need to include those 4 quadrants that he was talking about as part of our mission?
I used to I used I what I used like in my when I do my history, I include that in my history how we got started.
Okay.
I said so I developed so I'll just off the cuff. So after talking to members of the community and certain people, God allowed me to develop a four-tier program: spiritual empowerment, domestic empowerment, social empowerment, and you know what I'm saying? Funneled it in like that, right? So that, because whenever somebody hear me, you'll always hear me say those four things, and you know that's like the foundation of Exodus House.
Huh.
Those four components. So what is it? What is it that in your vision, mission, philosophy, core values, they're saying the same thing, they're worded differently, but it make a person know like this is your core. This right here. No matter, we see it in your mission statement, we see it in your philosophy, we see it in your vision, and we see it in your core values.
Mm-hmm. Common thread.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like you go from mission to philosophy to vision, or whichever one you start off with, it's going to build. Go to the next one, it's going to build on that. Go to the next one, it's going to build on that. Go to the next one, it's going to build on that. That makes sense?
Yep.
Gotcha.
Because this is what, when you start doing funding, even though we have a great proposal writer, we still got to get the information from you guys. And you want to, bam, build, and then the conclusion you shown through your mission, through your values, through your vision, through your philosophy, that this process works. And we've seen how it elevated through the program, right? So I can look at the program and say, oh man, I can tell you know, ever hear somebody, man, they on a mission. You see somebody doing something specifically, you be like, man, they on a mission. And that's how you want your program to see for funders, for agencies, right? For government entities, for donors. And then more importantly, for your members, okay?
Gotcha.
All right, so any questions, concerns? You know, I always say this at the end of the class. Go ahead, Mr. Robert.
I got a couple. Do you have more detailed definitions now? It may be somewhere, but I don't know, around the level 1, level 2 supportive and the independent living level 1 and 2, so I can look at the kind of determine what skills or behaviors you're looking at to categorize the different people.
Yeah, as soon as we get to module 3.
Okay, that's module 3. You haven't sent out module 3 yet, have you?
Because we actually, today was module 1.
Okay, all right, I got you.
And I tapped a little bit into
Sorry
module 2. No, you good. You good. You good.
I'm trying to get my arms around it quick.
Listen.
Just bear hug it, Robert. It's all good,
Yeah,
bro.
that's right.
Bear
No,
hug
it's good. Yeah. That's a common thread that lets me know we're doing something right, because they're excited to get to that place, you know. And yeah, so all right. Feedback, what you got out of today's class?
Excellent once again. Excellent training. Most definitely the human component is I think is very vital in establishing that component with the clients that coming in, and that connecting and everything. So it makes them feel more so that, okay, you care, or that you really can have empathy for them. And then, you know, it also allows us for communication. You know, sometimes people just need to, you know, vent on um, on their life or whatever, and just being able to just listen and not be as fond. Or you said as well, it came out about having a preconceived notion about who they are. So that's definitely Um, that's definitely good.
I'm
The only
glad
other
you
thing I
said
would
that,
add,
that
oh,
stigma,
I'm
that
sorry.
stigma. I got that in one of my books, but also if you go over on the Access Life Chain, I actually did a thing on stigma, I think 2 days ago, and that's really good. Uh, and communication. And I'll just shoot one thing that I've learned for me personally. Whenever someone cuts me off before I'm finished the thought, that means they're not listening. So
Yeah.
for me, I have a couple of things I do if I'm talking to somebody on the phone. I'll mute the phone sometime because my mind is wanting to say something, but I'll mute the phone. I've trained myself to mute the phone so I don't respond and I stop thinking about responding.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Because I could be listening to you and I could subdue myself about responding, but I'm not listening because I'm just waiting until you finish so I can still respond, not realizing if I just listen to you, whatever question I might have, you're probably
Gonna
going
be
to answer.
answered.
Go ahead,
Don't
Mr.
answer.
Robert.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Mr. Robert. Go ahead.
Yeah, the only other thing I would add to what Witherspoon said is that the need for, as you go into this area, there's a great need for compassion and grace.
Hmm.
You know, that's got to be threaded throughout this program because you can have the expectations, but also within those expectations, there's got to be grace because a person is coming from different places. And that's one thing, man, running a facility, you have rules and you don't necessarily have grace. So in order
Hmm.
to be successful, you've got to have the compassion and grace. And that's what I heard you say constantly about I've got the rules, but also I understand where you're coming from. So you at some point you gotta find out where that point is and where you say, okay, you're no longer part of the program, but it shouldn't be when you break the first rule or the second rule. So just really having that
Yeah.
insight because I believe when you show passion, compassion, and grace to people, you get that back from them. So that's a one big
And it's
piece
about what you're saying
I
so
picked up.
powerful. Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Robert. I thought you was done. Go
Now,
ahead.
that's the one big piece I picked up just from talking, just from listening to you, Ray, is that you built this program on that. And it may be because of your lived experience, but I just see a lot of value in that.
And what's so powerful about what you said? Remember, write this down. You're program. You're not an organization. You're an organism.
Right.
You're
Hmm.
going to have maybe 3 or 4 basic rules, but your rules will always change based on your population.
Mm.
Hmm.
Yeah.
For example, you might have 20 people following these set rules and it's running perfectly, but then you might get another 20 that don't have the same personalities, and you're gonna have to tweak the rules based on their personality.
Or have an empty house.
That's right.
So
That's right.
you're constantly growing, evolving, into whatever that particular population at that particular time.
Yeah.
And the good thing is once you train your 2 house managers, they're always going to be able to adhere to and get the group to have adhere to your core foundation rules and regulations, the basic ones that you just don't do. You ain't going to change anyway. But then they also know, they say, look, this group, man, we might have to do this for them. You know what I'm saying? Or we might have to do this for them because they're there every day, and we got certain people. Or you know what? Think we might need to get these 4 people in a service provider or something. You know what I'm saying? So it's forever changing. Or you'll have 2 different types of substance abuse. You have your substance abuse; they'll come and take them for substance abuse. But then you might have somebody that need to be an IOP. You see? So now you're saying, okay, we're going to but you have to go to IOP, which is a more intense outpatient supervision. Okay, so yeah, that was real good, Mr. Robert. Yep.
Okay, well, I think those guys pretty much covered. Um, I thought that you covered and got down into a lot of the nuts and bolts as far as what the model is going to look like, what the setup is going to look like. and basically putting all the tenants and all the structures in place as far as how your setup is going to be established, and really making your various things eye-catching. Make sure that they're simplistic, but they're real eye-catching, and they really speak to the core of what you're trying to accomplish. Another thing that I got out of it is that we both kind of had a agreement moment, is getting in there and meeting them right where they are. That's something that I've been doing, working on for years, from third, fourth, fifth grade guys to grown men in their 70s or 80s. People are more susceptible, and you're able to get a better grasp of where they are when you get right in and meet them right where they're at. So it's good, man.
And that's what's so powerful, man. That's why I think you got to guys have a good group. Because even when at 60, I think I'll be 67 or 68 August. I can't remember.
Wait a minute, bro.
You stop counting. You
Wait
My
a
wife's
minute.
birthday my wife's birthday is today. I think she's 66 or 67. But she was born in 59. I was born in 58. But anyway, we went to lunch and all that stuff. She's, what I love about my wife, it's her birthday. We do a little bit, but she still understands I had a commitment.
Well, we could have pushed this
I'm
week
quite
off
sure
to
I could
next
have
week,
called you
man.
up and say, guys, look, man, it's my wife's birthday. If y'all mind,
We could have pushed it off to next week.
Yeah.
And I know that, but this is why I love her so much. The commitment of my word means more than just celebrating her birthday, because we celebrate each other every day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I remember real quick, we was on this major project during COVID, man. And these people, we had 4 hotels, we had like 200 some people. And it was going crazy. And me and my guy, man, and I was like, man, I called her, I said, man, look, I'm done. It ain't about the money and all. I'm done. She had just got diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. She had just been in the ICU.
Wow.
You would figure you want your husband, she's in North Carolina, want to come home and take care of me, because she was like, Ray, if you don't do it, who will?
Mm.
Wow.
I was done. I stopped complaining.
Yeah.
She had every right to say, oh, I got my husband back home. I'm a dog. I want him around me. But one thing she refuses to let what they said she has to stop what she know her husband's purpose and plan in God's life.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? So
Good
hold
stuff.
on one second.
Okay, man.
Powerful.
Yeah. I'm sure
Oh,
he shared a story that there was his high school sweetheart. And I don't know how many years it's been later, but they reconnected.
Wow.
Yeah.
all right.
That's amazing.
Good
But
stuff.
Mr. Robert, you probably next week you're probably going to get a handout with a partial breakdown of the 4 tiers. Okay,
That's okay. It's a start. It's a start, man. No problem.
Because that's the 4 tier. That's actually part of your 3rd module. But I always send you something in advance, so I'm gonna give you a little sneak. I'm gonna give you a little sneak preview that you can nibble on. Okay.
Sounds good.
All right, guys. Anybody have any more questions of me? And everything good?
Good, my
All
friend.
good, my
It's
friend.
good.
Okay, then. I will be ramping up on other stuff coming out. Dalton, Mr. Robert, you're gonna get an email. Be on the lookout for an email. It's going to say T Green Exodus House. That's Miss Tammy. She's going to need to get some stuff from you guys that we need to do as far as getting y'all guys done numbers and your cage number. And I don't know if you guys still want. Well, y'all can decide. We always try to get you lined up with those net 30 accounts so your business credit can start coming up if you're not already into it already. So you'll get with her in the next week or so. She's going to start getting all that stuff set up for you. Okay.
Sounds good.
All right. Sounds like a plan.
And then from there, you're going to meet, I might bring them on next week or the following week. Miss Robin Avant, she lives in Connecticut. Tammy lives in New Jersey. Robin lives in Connecticut. Woman of God. Both. Now Tammy, she's a songstress. Look, whew, man, she anointed.
Mm.
Robin, she's a professor, but she is probably one. And I've been around a lot of proposal writers. She might be one of the best in the country. And I'm not just saying that. You know what I'm saying? And
Mm-hmm.
I'll be introducing y'all guys to them. So as we're moving forward, they'll start looking for grants and all that stuff. And we provide all those services. So that's
Okay.
the thing we're looking forward to. But first, my most important thing right now is to lay y'all foundation, and then we'll go from there. Okay.
Sounds like
All
a
right.
All
plan.
right.
Y'all have a good night. If y'all have any
All
questions,
right.
anything, I'm here.
All
All
right,
All
right.
brother.
right.
Good night.
All right. Talk to you
Good
later.
Blessings.
night.
God
Blessings.
bless you. Hold on. Wait. Oh, it's too late. I meant to see. You got to start praying this out, sir.
That's sweet, bro. That's sweet.
Yeah, we
We'll do
gotta
it
make
next.
sure
We'll do it next.
we get it next week. All right,
Yeah.
love you
Yeah.
now.
Hey, listen.
Good.
Um, did you ride by the church when you came down?
Uh-uh.
You didn't ever ride
Remember, I
through?
never. Nah, I never did.
Okay. All right. All right. Yeah. Well, they had a big tree out front, right? And it was, um, that's a big tree, and that thing had grown since you've been there, definitely
Yeah.
since I've been there. Man, that thing, I trimmed some of the limbs off of it because it was hanging over the driveway and stuff.
Mhm.
It was hanging low, so I had trimmed some of the limbs off of it. And so they had got a quote about, the tree being removed. It was like, $3,000 or something like that.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Man, man, that storm came through here last week. High winds or whatever blew that tree down, man.
You ain't
It
got to worry
it
about
probably
it.
no, a part of the limbs hit the side or whatever, but it didn't do
Uh-huh.
no real damage to the church. But yeah, man, yeah, blew that tree down, and the city had to clean it up. Oh, it went across the street.
Look at God.
That's exactly what I
I,
said. Look at God.
I, I'm actually now. I think I have Stephanie's number. I was kind of waiting to see if she would reach out to me before I gave her a call, but
No. Bro. It's a proper thing to do, man, from your side. You know what I'm saying? Just reach
Mhm,
out to her. And and
mhm.
and 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 it's a common thing now. Some people just ain't good at returning calls and stuff. Text messages or something like that. She still ain't good at that right now. You know what I'm saying? I've been there over a month or so now. But you know what? I don't encounter to her. I don't encounter to her head, man.
Nah, I don't worry
Or her
about
heart,
that.
man. Yeah. And so, but yeah, but everything is well, man. You know, we had Friends and Family Day this past Sunday. Things came along real well and stuff, and um, we just believe God. Let's put it like this: since I've been there, she's gotten a charge.
Uh-huh.
She's gotten some energy back because she was drained. She was
Uh-huh.
drained, for real, and stuff, man. And but yeah, uh, the steeple. I know you got you, Kayam, and Mike Smith, Dalton, and myself. Those are the only ones that I reached out to about, contributing towards it. So the steeple, the guy did come out, um, and was going to clean it yesterday. He started, but from his mindset, he thought he had enough pressure where he could just get on a ladder right at the base of the roof there and then spray up. But
Mhm.
that's not the case. So we got to rent a lift